Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday morning to you all. I hope you guys are having a great start to your day, having a great weekend out there so far, and just getting up and getting after it and having a great day. I got you an update on what's going to potentially unfold for your Sunday weather-wise. We're going to talk about a severe weather threat across portions of the country, areas of the Deep South, the Mid-South, Ohio Valley, and maybe portions of the mid-Atlantic as a cold front is sagging southeastward and can really kind of pop up some storms today in certain areas of the country. Other than that, even in this area, there's only a marginal risk. This could get upgraded to a slight risk, kind of like what yesterday's threat ended up doing about mid-morning, like it seems like every severe weather threat does after I talk about it in the morning video. But we're going to give you the latest and greatest information. Stay tuned for the latter half of the video. We're going to talk a little bit about the tropics also and give you the latest information from overnight. So we'll give a little bit more detailed on that in this evening's video, so stay tuned for that if you're interested. But if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider that. Like the video if you like it. I appreciate the support as always. And if you guys got anything I can pray about, please put in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. You ever thought about joining my channel? It's just a way to support me monthly. I got 15, 20 incredible members who support me. And, I don't even give back to these guys. These guys just support me monthly, and I really appreciate y'all. It feels like I don't say that enough, but I really do, guys. I really appreciate people who just tune into my channel regardless. I really do. So thank y'all for that. So let's get rolling this morning. I don't want to hold you guys up too long. I know people got things to do, head off to church, Sunday activities just in general. But we have a ridge of high pressure that is still right into here. So therefore, certain parts of the southern U.S. will heat up again today. There is a flow around this high pressure with a trough on top of it. This trough meaning cold front. Remember, anytime I say trough, I'm meaning cold front. This is actually going to push in some more comfortable air across the northern portion of the country and then actually make it all the way down pretty south, all the way into Kentucky, Tennessee. But you're going to have to deal with some storms today. In fact, you're already dealing with a little bit of storm activity way down here in the Gulf of Mexico, the bayou areas of southern Mississippi. You guys have been dealing with some storms today, and it's just some lingering convection still ongoing across this portion of the country. More convection will fire up later today. But I tell you what, even here in the Carolinas, speaking locally, it was not that bad yesterday. I feel like it was just a little bit lower humidity than what we're used to for late June standards. Took my girls to the park, and it did not feel that bad outside, especially in the shade. Dew point's only in the 60s. So, when the humidity is tolerable in the south, if you can somehow get a day or two in the south and the humidity is tolerable, it's not too bad. But when you get dew points in the 70s, things like that, to check the door, sounds like one of my kids are trying to bust through the room here, but I don't think they are. But, then sometimes it's just not that bad. But most of the time, the humidity is outrageous. But check it out. Here in the orange, that is heat advisory. So it's going to still be pretty hot, but you notice it's not as broad as yesterday. But it's still going to be pretty uncomfortable for most of Mississippi, areas of Tennessee, about the entire southern half of Arkansas, the northern half of Louisiana. All you guys have heat advisories today, so it's going to get rather hot with some high humidity. Areas of the Storm Prediction Center predicting areas, that's what I meant to say, of a marginal risk right here. So the dark green, that's where we can have some severe storms really pop up today, along with a cold front pushing through. You guys are going to have some storms. There's some certain dry areas in this region, especially the southern areas. I've heard that areas of eastern Kentucky are rather dry. There's areas in Tennessee that's pretty dry. Alabama, pretty dry. So you guys could see some rain today, but of course you're might have to deal with the severe element of it. So, with this severe threat, the tornado threat is never non-zero, but it's pretty close to it. We're not going to have much of a tornado threat with this setup, so that's good news. But there is a damaging wind threat, as you can see, a 5% chance in this marginal risk of 25 miles in any given location for a wind threat here. And then the hail threat is actually less than 5%. So really the biggest threat, and mainly the only threat today, is probably damaging winds, as cold fronts normally produce more of the damaging wind threat. Let's take a look at the tropics. We'll get more detailed on it here at the end of the video, not stay too long on it. The latest update from 2 a.m., so this will be, we'll get an upgrade here at around 8 a.m. You have a 70% chance now. You got the red down here of development. So like I said, this is most likely going to be Bonnie. But when does it become Tropical Storm Bonnie? I think it'll happen probably somewhere in the Caribbean right into here, and then it'll probably move right into areas of Central America. What country exactly will it hit? We're just not quite sure yet, but we'll keep on updating you guys even down there. And then you still got this area, where a piece of energy is going to slip into the Gulf of Mexico. Then we'll have a brief opportunity to develop into something in this yellow area. We'll talk about that more tonight also. But let's talk about this storm chance. Here we go. We're getting into this afternoon. I'm talking about 3, 4 o'clock this afternoon. Storms really bubble up pretty quickly here in areas of Kentucky. Widespread showers and storms popping up in western, central, even eastern Kentucky. Check out western Tennessee, and even quickly in the Piedmont and basically the eastern slopes of the southern Appalachian Mountains here in North Carolina and even in Virginia. You guys are going to have some big storms that pop up, and then even the storms back here, they all pop up, and then they all contain their energy and continue to move southeast. So areas like Nashville, Memphis, and northern Mississippi. Watch out Huntsville, Alabama a little bit later this afternoon to this evening. This will be moving into Boone, North Carolina, Knoxville. Trying to mention every city. Charleston, West Virginia. These storms, you guys all have a threat of severe storms today. How much will they hold together as they make it through the evening hours? We're just not sure. But watch out the upstate of South Carolina, even Atlanta, overnight tonight, as these storms can continue to linger in, but they will likely lose its punch as we lose daytime heating and we get into the overnight hours. But early on, you back this up, these can be severe. Then we're going to have some storms down here in the southern areas of the peninsula of Florida. And then more storms are going to fire up again in southern, southeast Louisiana. There might become a flooding threat down here, as you guys are already dealing with a lot of rain this morning. But let's take a closer look at where the areas where I think we'll probably have the most severe weather, and that is Kentucky, Tennessee, and surrounding areas. Here we go. The decaying line of storms will refire up again due to an outflow-driven kind of mechanism, if you will. These will fire up the storms again. Watch out Paducah, Kentucky. Watch out Nashville, Tennessee, Jackson, Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee. These storms move through. Will they hit Lexington? It just depends on how quick these storms initialized up there in Lexington, Kentucky. But it develops, moves on through these states, and this is just a closer look at it. And, damaging winds, like I said, the biggest threat with these. But how much do they hold together as they make it into the deep south states of Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia? I think they will hold together pretty good in northern Mississippi and northern Alabama. But after that, it's a big question. So please be careful. But more storms could fire up this evening up here in Lexington and northern areas of Kentucky where y'all might miss the first round. So maybe some beneficial rain, but you're going to have to deal with that severe weather part of it too. Up here in the northeast, you guys could deal with some severe weather too. Watch out central PA, areas of western New York State. Watch out, definitely watch out in western PA, especially Pittsburgh. You guys could get a line of storms around 4 or 5 p.m. this afternoon, around dinner time. Some storms flowing through Ohio, West Virginia. Watch out Maryland. But, I really think most of the activity will probably be in western Maryland, if anything. I don't think this really makes it into the Delmarva area, but we'll watch. And then maybe some additional convection fires up here in Ohio. But, guys, I'm not expecting this to be that big of a deal. Just storms firing up, driven off an approaching cold front. And it will feel much better after this cold front comes through. Take every cold front you can get this time of the year. I mean, we're starting to get pretty deep in the summer, even though some people consider June 21st the start of summer. I always consider June 1st the start of summer to me. And then at September 1st is the start of fall. But in a nutshell, this isn't, totally untypical weather for this part of the country, for really any part of the country. We look at the south central U.S. Maybe you guys get some pop-up showers and storms over here in western Texas today. A lot of monsoon moisture out here, so flooding is a risk in New Mexico, Arizona, even areas into Colorado. You guys will have a good influx of moisture over here. But maybe some big storms, severe storms, probably not, but maybe some much-needed moisture for a lucky town or two out here in central and western Texas. So we're hoping for that. And then maybe some storms popping up in Arkansas and northern Louisiana. We'll watch out for that. But hopefully this is more widespread than the models are showing, because I know you guys need the rain out here, as most of y'all are under above a severe drought, an exceptional drought in certain areas, which is the worst threat level of a drought. But here we go, the north central U.S., probably the most quiet weather out the entire U.S. today. Just quiet, nice. The cold front is kind of swept through, so you have more dry conditions. Temperatures aren't going to be as hot today. And just kind of a nice day if you like, just more cooler weather. But I'll tell you what, I got a guy up here who watches loyally every morning. I appreciate you, man. It might be downright nippy up here for your Sunday, as some cooler temperatures are being probably enhanced off Lake Superior up here, as basically the flows, the wind patterns are probably coming from off the lake and moving into your region. So maybe a little bit of some cooler weather in this region as this cold front has kind of went through. But everybody else outside of this this area right here, the Great Lakes region, warming into the 60s, the 70s, 80s, the further southeast you go. And this is just more dry air. So it's going to feel almost like a crisp fall day, not a crisp, but a nice fall day or a spring day out here as opposed to a summer day. So big time relief from the heat up here in this part of the country. Actually a beautiful day expected as this cold front has pushed through. But very hot, out ahead of the cold front. Temperatures reaching over to 100 degrees in eastern Texas, Louisiana, and probably areas of southwest Arkansas, maybe southeast areas of Oklahoma. Could get very hot today where you have these heat advisories, high humidity too, but 90s elsewhere in the deep south, which isn't anything unusual for this time of the year. 90s all the way up into Kentucky, and then more comfortable air for this area right here. And pretty warm day in the northeast. Temperatures rising well into the 80s from New York City, Boston, everywhere in between the I-95 corridor, southern New England, 80s and maybe some 90s. Delmarva area, 80s and 90s. Virginia, before the storms pop up, definitely 80s and 90s, and just a hot day in the Carolinas and Georgia today, as it usually is this time of the year. So be safe out there. Take your precautions when it comes to the heat. But one thing I'll mention is look at this dry punch of air behind this cold front. High humidity out ahead of it with dew points in the 60s and 70s, which is humid air. But with the approaching cold front, it really sweeps the atmosphere and pushes dew points into the 40s and 50s. So some comfortable air over a large portion of the country. But I don't think this is going to make it all the way into the southeast. What I'm meaning is I don't think it's going to clear the southeast. I think areas of the mid-south, deep south, areas of the northern deep south, if you will, which I always consider like northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, North Georgia, Arkansas, you guys are going to experience a comfortable push of dry air that's going to make the atmosphere feel much better to the at the surface, if you will. So dew points in the 60s ahead of it. We'll see how far southeast this dry air really gets, but a lot of times this likes to stall out. But I'll tell you what, that's a pretty tight boundary for this time of the year, this dry punch of air. But this is going to make for really comfortable conditions for a large portion of the country for this first half of the week. So we'll see how far southeast this dry punch of air gets. Let's talk a little bit about the tropics. Here's our system. This is 94L. So I talked about this last night. If you tuned in, you got what you call D-min, D-M-I-N, and D-max, D-M-A-X. D-max, which occurred a couple hours ago out here in the tropical Atlantic for this system, is basically when the temperatures at the surface, basically the sea surface temperatures, are the most different, if you will, than the actual temperatures in the air. So what I'm meaning is the air temperature could be, I don't know, maybe in the 80s or something. The air temperature, can be like in the 70s, the upper 70s. And then the sea surface temperatures could be in the mid 80s, mid to upper 80s, low, mid, upper 80s, whatever the will. So there's a difference of maybe, 5 to 8 degrees. So that difference between the surface of the water and the actual air temperature above the surface of the water is enough to kind of pop up convection. It's the same thing with severe weather season when you have lapse rates and aloft, when basically temperatures cool from the surface and throughout several thousand feet up in the atmosphere very quickly. So at the surface it might be 90 degrees, but 10,000 feet up in the air, it could be much, much cooler, and it gets much, much cooler very quickly. That causes explosive convection. It's kind of the same deal out here. And during D-min, you basically have a lack of difference between the sea surface temperature and the actual air temperature. So, like I said, the sea surface temperature could be 85 degrees, but the air temperature could be 86, 87 degrees. So there's not much of a difference. Therefore, it causes a weakening because it lacks an explosive convection out here with these systems. So I feel like I explained that a lot better last night. But anyways, we'll kind of re-go over that probably tonight. But anyways, we'll take a look at the latest GFS and the European, and then we're not going to stay long on this, and we'll let you guys go. But here's our tropical system. This is the latest GFS. Pretty much hasn't changed from last night. It really likes this becoming Bonnie deep down here in the southern areas of the Caribbean, and then making landfall in Central America is probably a tropical storm, a sub-1,000 millibar low pressure here. The European, here comes kind of the same situation, but a little bit further north than the GFS, and has this developing into probably a weak tropical storm Bonnie, which is what it would be, and making landfall in Central America. So we'll talk more about this tonight, guys. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you guys have an awesome Sunday, and I'll talk to y'all this evening.